Well, that building's going to be jumping tonight. We're live from the Dort Financial Center, the site for tonight's matchup between the Firebirds and the Sarnia Sting. Flint has dropped a pair of tight ones this week, and tonight it'll look to get back to the winning ways against the Sarnia squad off a big road win last night. For the 7th time this season, these division rivals clash as it's the Firebirds and the Sting. Flint Firebirds hockey is on the air. And it starts right now. And good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome inside the broadcast booth for tonight's pregame show driven by Shea Automotive. Here to tell you this story, I'm Brian Gardner. We got the Firebirds and the Sarnia Sting today. And you know what? It's no secret that the Birds are a bit short-handed these days. They played yesterday's game against the Brantford Bulldogs, -2 of their 3 overagers and -3 of their 5 leading scorers for the season. Firebirds played the Bulldogs tight, but it was a third period that got away as Flint fell eventually by a final score of 4-2. Their second consecutive loss coming on the heels of what was a 5-game winning streak. Well, the Firebirds have a Sarnia Sting squad in town today, a team that's really fighting for its playoff positioning and is within spitting distance of the Firebirds, only 5 points behind in 7th place in the Western Conference, as Flint will continue to try and cement its spot in the Western Conference playoffs, and the Birds look to get back to the winning ways against a team against whom they have had the edge in the season series winners of the last 3, as this is game number 7 of 8 between the Firebirds and the Sting this season. So there was some good stuff yesterday for both these teams. Let's get a look at the highlights. What happened last time both the Birds and the Sting were on the ice. We'll pick it up in the first period here in Flint, and look at Nathan Day. This was the save of the night in the OHL. Left skate out of midair. The Scorpion save, they call it, and it's still 0-0. We play on in the first period, tied up off the faceoff. Chris Thibodeau shoots and scores. Thibodeau able to fire that one home as he just snagged that one from the dot. Little step into it for the wrister. Number 18 on the season for Thibodeau. And it's 1-0 Firebirds. Here comes Chris Thibodeau now in the second period for Wang, then Frolov. Artem Frolov gets the goal past the lunging Ryerson Leanders, and the Firebirds now with a 2-0 edge. But you knew he was going to get involved. Watch Nick Lardis streak into the backside, got behind a couple of Firebirds there as Lardis fires one home. It was off the body of Nathan Day and home as Brantford on the board. Onto the third period, and it'll be picked up by Moore in the slot. He shoots and scores. We got a tie hockey game. Patrick Thomas lost that puck, but the Bulldogs keep it alive in the attacking zone, and it's 2-2. Later, third period, it's Nick Lardis picking the pocket of a Firebirds D-man, and he's off to the races. Lardis' second goal of the game, up to 68 on the season, and his team with the lead, 3-2, make it 4-2. A little wraparound goal from Merrick Van Acker as Nathan Day just couldn't get over in time. Van Acker off of the pad, in fact, of Day and in. Leanders was excellent. They'll celebrate with their goaltender as the Bulldogs come away with a 4-2 win. Sarnia was in Guelph yesterday, and the Sting gets started in the first period. Alessandro Diorio on the power play just 10 seconds in. Diorio to do it himself. Shoots and scores, and it's 1-0 Sting. Second period. It'll be Liam Beamish this time on the rebound. Beamish to stuff one home. Not the last you'll hear from Liam Beamish. That shot from the point from Barr. There's Beamish to jump on it and sends it past Ellsworth as the score is 2-0. Guelph in the third, gonna get on the board here though. It'll be Charlie Paquette in tight. Slides it past Serzicha, and it's 2-1 as Guelph down by just 1, but a quick answer for Sarnia. Zach Felak on the rebound of that Easton Wainwright shot. Just a pass off the pads basically as Felak puts it home to make it 3-1. And then get back in on it, Liam Beamish, his second of the game, the one-timer from the right circle. 4-1 Sting, make it 5-1, make it a hat trick. Into the empty net, Liam Beamish, his first OHL hat trick. His Sting win it in Guelph by a final score of 5-1. So the Firebirds and the Sarnia Sting meeting up for the 7th time, and these teams, they're pretty familiar with one another, and you're familiar with the work of the Sarnia Sting. They're a team that does not score a lot, as they're in fact 18th out of the 20 OHL teams in goals per game. They give up a good amount of goals as well. Sarnia, they've kind of found themselves in the position they're in large part due to their ability to get games to overtime, as they have a lot of the extra points this season. Power play has struggled just like the Firebirds. Penalty kill has also been improved just like the Firebirds has, as Flint riding a hot PK into today's game. Our Western Conference standings, we've talked a little bit about this. There's Flint in 6th. Firebirds are next up for potentially clinching a playoff spot, as Erie got that job done yesterday. Sarnia in 7th. The Sting with a game in hand of the Firebirds, and you know they have ideas about catching Flint. We talked about this though, 5 overtime losses, 7 shootout losses for the Sting, as they have the second fewest wins in the Western Conference this year, only 3 more than the 10th place Guelph Storm. But that being said, that game in hand, a win today for Sarnia over Flint would go a long way towards them potentially catching the Firebirds for 6th place in the Western Conference. So we got the Birds and the Bees, Flint and Sarnia here today as the final meeting of the season between these two teams in this building. The Birds do head to Sarnia one more time. Game number 7 out of 8 in the plentiful season series between these two division rivals. And it should be a fun one on what should be a pretty big night here on this Saturday evening at the Dordt Financial Center. Don't go anywhere, stick around, because when we come back, we're going to get a look at the lineups for today's game. We'll go over our players to watch, that and more when we come back after this on the pregame show driven by Shea Automotive. It's the Firebirds and the Sarnia Sting live on the Firebirds Hockey Network.
At the Shea Megalot, they pride themselves on always aiming higher and finding new and better ways to keep you informed on your next new-to-you vehicle. Go to SheaMegalot.com, look for the Used Vehicle tab, choose your vehicle, then look for the button that says Vehicle Records, where you can find the original MSRP, view the service, maintenance, and Carfax history, just like looking under the hood. Plus, take a video test drive. I'm Mackenzie Miller, and with over 500 pre-owned and certified vehicles to choose from, the Shea Megalot is where it's at. Just saying.
Flint and Sarnia on a Saturday night in mid-Michigan. The Firebirds hosting the Sting, as the Birds undefeated against Sarnia in this building this season, trying to make it a clean sweep, 4 wins and no losses. Our lineups for today's game, it's a Sarnia squad. It's a young team, as they can only have the one drafted NHL prospect on the roster. Some rookies that have been a big part of things. They're largely healthy. They have been missing one of their young outstanding players in Carter Kostic for most of the season, but for Sarnia, they're not banged up the same way the Firebirds are. You'll see Nick Serzicha in net here today. Our players to watch, let's start with Liam Beamish, who's going to be riding high after he notched his first career hat trick last night in Guelph. The Penn State commit and the BCHL defect has been great since arriving in Sarnia. 13 goals and 12 assists. That comes in 32 games as a member of the Sting. He's been one of the bright spots for the Sting forward group, and of course he's hot entering tonight's game off of his first career OHL hat trick in their 5-1 win in Guelph last night. To the blue line and Lucas Fisher. He's their captain. He's a Blues prospect, the lone NHL drafted prospect on the roster. Second round pick in the 2024 draft. Did deal with an injury this season, but he's managed those 15 goals and 19 assists over 43 games played. Fisher has 2 goals and an assist against the Firebirds this season over 5 games out of the 6 in the season series. Last night, no points, but he was +2, and he had 5 shots on goal. Lucas Fisher can drive some offense from the blue line. The guy who wears the C for the Sarnia Sting. And up front we go again, and Zach Felak. He scored last night in Guelph. The overager has 5 goals against the Firebirds this season. He's a Michigan kid. Felak's from Northville, and tonight's the final time he is scheduled to play in his home state for his OHL career. So I'd stand to reason that he'd have some friends and family in the building tonight, and Felak, you know, will be wanting to show out here on this final trip to Flint of his OHL regular season career. And Zach Felak, you know, he can mix it up anytime he's on the ice. Let's get a look at the Firebirds and their lineup today as the Birds come into today's game with an unbalanced lineup. They'll go with 11 forwards and with 7 defensemen, as James Paul lines up as the 7th D-man for the Birds. No Caden Petrie, no Nathan Aspinall, no Evan Conyon, no Nolan Collins. Christian Colosimo, Brendan Cook, and Ryland Cunningham round out the scratches. See Hayden Reed on that top line left wing alongside Connor Clattenburg and Alex Kostov in that second line Looks pretty good. Let's get our players to watch for the Firebirds. And, whoa, why not start with Chris Thibodeau? He's red hot. 2 points last night on a goal and an assist. He has 3 goals and 2 assists in his last 3 games. Against the Sting this season, how about 3 goals and 3 helpers? Now, Thibodeau had not found the score sheet in his previous 5 games before the last 3, but he's driving offense for the Firebirds in the continued absence of some of the big guns that we just went over in the scratches, and Flint will continue to ask for that from Chris Thibodeau here tonight. Well, he hasn't played since February 17th in London, but Sam McHugh's going to give it a go tonight after his 9-game absence. And you know what? It is easy to forget because he has played only 14 games for the Birds since being acquired from the Owen Sound attack, but boy, has he been good in a Flint sweater. 9 goals and 6 assists. Hopefully no rust tonight for Sam McHugh. The Toronto Maple Leafs prospect has combined for 27 goals and 19 helpers in between the games with the Firebirds and the Owen Sound attack. And let's round out that second line. Now, Pregame, our ringside reporter Matt Merrifield is telling me he really likes the look of that second line. Jimmy Lombardi is going to center it. Lombardi has 3 goals and 1 assist in 6 games against the Sting this season, and he has been playing good hockey lately. Plus, apparently the young man enjoys Minecraft. Firebirds are wearing specialty Minecraft-themed jerseys tonight, so we'll see if that'll get him fired up as the Birds take on the Sarnia Sting. Well, the Firebirds and the Sting getting closer to puck drop here on this Saturday evening from the Dort Financial Center. As Flint, having dropped its first 2 games on home ice this week, Firebirds will look to close out their week of work with a couple of points and get closer to that magic number for clinching a playoff spot. So as we continue here on the pregame show driven by Shea Automotive, we're going to step aside right now, but when we come back, we've got introductions for today's game, the starting lineups, the anthems, then it'll be time for puck drop. Firebirds and the Sarnia Sting, let's step aside, back in a moment here on FHN.
There's not always a light on your dash when it comes to your brakes. Whoa! You ever hear that noise? Let me show you what could be going on. Wow, looks like it's time to replace those brake pads. Before this happens to you, come on in for your free brake inspection. If you need brakes, we'll even give you 10% off any brake repairs here at Shea. I'm Jesse Lopez, and that's my tip for the month. Come trust our process. Come trust the Shea service team.